Bikini Bottom. Today's video is going to be a book tag as well as this mini promo for a new book coming out soon that y'all should check out. I am teaming up with Penguin Teen to bring you the I Am the Reader book tag, which is focused around questions about why I started reading and just like really personal things going on in this video. It's gonna get hashtag deep. I'm really excited about this video because I haven't done something about this topic since like 2013 when I made my Why I Read video. But really quick, just want to let you all know that this video is actually based off of a book coming out that is called The Reader. This is by Tracy Chee. The Reader follows a girl named Sephia who lives in a world where reading is outlawed and unheard of. Anything that occurs is passed down by oral tradition and no one has ever heard of a book or languages that are written. A lot of this book has to do with Sephia mingling with pirates and figuring out who her parents were and what they had to do with the reading world. This book is magical and this book goes on sale on September 13th, so keep an eye out on that if that sounded interesting to you. This tag is based off of this book because it's a celebration of reading, and once again thank you to Penguin Teen for sponsoring this video. Now on to the questions. I'm sorry, that was just the obligatory part we had to get through. Question 1 is choose one word that describes being a reader. I think this is a very ironic question, especially for me because I am more of a reader than a writer, so finding words is hard for me. I think the one word that I would use to describe a reader would be enlightened, and that has many meanings to me. Clearly there are several reasons that you would want to read a book. I mean, mainly entertainment, sometimes escape, sometimes just to learn more, and I think all of these things help bring more empathy to a person, help educate people. Sometimes you have to put yourself in the shoes of someone who is nothing like you, and it's a very interesting learning experience. Every time I emerge from a book, I emerge with something new. Even if it was a book that I absolutely hated, I still experienced something new that I would not have experienced as myself. And that, I think, is very enlightening. The next question is, what is the very first book you fell in love with? I think this might be a common answer for everyone. For me, it was the Twilight Saga. I was the middle schooler that was obsessed with Twilight. I have pages from my journals where I'm just sketching vampire teeth and like writing little mini fan fiction. Oh, it's so embarrassing. If I were ever to meet her, that would just be the one thing I would have to say to her is thank you for shaping me as a reader, because without Twilight I would have never known of the world of YA. I would have never gone into that. Edward and Bella were literally like all I thought about was them. They are my current Warnet back when I was like 12. But definitely Twilight is the very first thing I read that I was like, reading is fun. I love these characters. Oh my gosh. I didn't really get into like reading a lot until about high school, but that in middle school definitely began my recognition that reading could be something for me. Next question is hardcover or paperback? Definitely I prefer paperbacks. They're just easier to hold. I like that there's no dust cover that I have to constantly take on and off and fear ripping or something. Paperbacks are simple and paperbacks are foldable and paperbacks are just more transportable, I guess. I don't know. I prefer paperbacks. The next question is, how has reading shaped your identity? And this is a question I could make one entire video about. This is just such a vast subject, especially considering I'm a booktuber and how reading plus booktubing has affected my life and my identity. Booktube and reading do go hand in hand, so I'm gonna try not to focus on how booktube has shaped me. Reading, I think, at its core, has helped shape me into a more full-rounded person. These past couple years specifically, I've had to really grow up, become an adult, and try new things and go out of my comfort zone. Books were there for me all that time. Books helped shape my personality. Books helped to determine what things I was into. Books helped me to cope with my emotions. Books helped me become a YouTuber. Books are part of my identity because without them, I would probably be a lot more ignorant. I probably would spend much more time on the internet, spend much less money, but there's worse things I could be addicted to, right? I probably wouldn't be an English major if it weren't for reading, so that entire trail of my life would be different. I don't know why I'm considering myself in a world without reading now. But I do think that I'm much better off having read the books that I have and having experienced and delved into all the memorable books that I have picked up. I think just my confidence levels have increased since I began reading, my understanding of the world. Back to the education thing, I've learned so much just by reading other cultures and other people and how they deal with things, and even the things going on in America. Since obviously I'm a white female, there's some privilege here, and it's really settling to be able to read a book that helps me understand someone else's situation. Anyway, I think that's all I can go into that question before talking far too long about it. So next question. What book do you read when you need to be comforted? If I'm feeling down, especially whenever I moved away to college, I felt very unsettled and didn't know what to do and needed that comfort, I returned to my favorite books. You all probably know, but my favorite book is Shatter Me by Tahta Mafi. The characters are just people that I imagine so realistically in my head. It's like whenever I think of Shatter Me and the Shatter Me world and the Shatter Me characters, they're so tangible in my mind. Like I can see them. I can see it happening. Like it's like a movie. So returning to something that's so familiar to me and so comforting to me, that brings me peace whenever I can delve back into a story that I know so well. And I'm sure everyone's gonna answer this with their favorite book, because our favorite books are just safe places for us to return to. It's never gonna change. And oh, I'm getting emotional. I love Shatter Me. Okay, next question. Who taught you to be a reader? This question I am going to have to owe to one of my friends. This would be my friend Abby Wickland. I know she watches my videos occasionally, so she might be seeing this right now. Hello, Abby. I've shouted her out before, and I will continue to shout her out for the rest of my time. Abby was a friend that I had in middle school and high school. We had a lot of interests in common, specifically Twilight. I remember we would fangirl about Twilight so often, and there became a point where we were discussing more books that we like to read. We would always send Amazon links back and forth to each other saying, this sounds good, and she would always send me books on Kindle to read, and I would always send her the books that I thought sounded interesting. This is how I discovered Shatter Me. Abby and I kind of discovered it together. She was like my first reading buddy. Before I had BookTube and people to talk about with, this is the person that I went to if I had a book and I loved. We were like our own two-person book club, and it was so wonderful. And I still love her to death. She moved away to New York several years ago and I haven't seen her in a long time, but I still really thank her for just encouraging me to read more, putting things out there, and being just such a wonderful best friend. The next question is, describe your dream reading lounge. I am currently at college, which is not ideal for reading, mostly just because everyone's loud, everyone likes to make a disturbance, everyone likes to come knocking on our door to drag us out of our rooms. I would have answered this question with like a window seat, just on a rainy day, really fluffy cushions, a big blanket, a cup of hot chocolate, and a book. Perfect. Then I thought about it more. If I could have anything I wanted, give me a tree house. I love to read outside, but I get so distracted by everything, so I think if I was outside but in a contained space where I could get comfy and there's like walls around me to not distract me too much, that would be chill. And that would be so— would you not want a reading treehouse? Like who would deny that? Who would say, no, I don't want a treehouse? And the last question is, which book changed the way that you act or the way that you see the world? This is a book I read a while ago, and it's the first thing that always comes to mind when someone asks me this question. This Star Won't Go Out by Esther Earl. This book is about a girl named Esther who tragically died of cancer, I think it was. She was a really talented writer, and she was just like a ball of sunshine in everyone's life. So this book has stories about her as well as her own writing and her journals. There was just something about this book that struck me about the fragility of life and using up time wisely. It just talks about being a good person and how life is unfair sometimes, but you have to push through it. It was something that stuck with me for a really long time, but she was just such an amazing girl, and it was so heartbreaking to go through all her experiences and to read everything she's done, and then to know that she's no longer with us. Reading things like that, like Anne Frank's diary, those just grab my heart and completely crush me because they have so much potential and they teach the world so many things in such a short amount of time before they die tragically young. Those, I think, are the books that really stick in my mind as far as making an impression on the world and doing what you can in the time that you have. Highly recommend those two books because of that. Okay, that was really deep, but we are now done. Thank you all for sticking around. Once again, this beautiful book comes out on September 13th, so I'll link down below where you can find it. Until next time, thanks everyone for watching this book tag, and I will leave down below the people that I invite to do this video next. Thanks everyone for watching. Hope you're having a wonderful life, and I will see you next time. Goodbye!